With all the changes coming to 1.0 that Satisfactory has already announced, I think the crown of the best starting location has been ripped from the Northern Forest and has been given to an unlikely candidate. With a lot of nodes being nerfed to the ground or just plain yeeted from the map, like Snut said, the Northern Forest is still good, just maybe not the best. So let's take a closer look at our friend, the grass fields. That's right, you heard me, the grass fields. The starting location recommended for new players that lacks node purity and variety. Hear me out. Let's go over the hurdles that you would face right now and see how many are fixed with what info we have now. Quick access to quartz, sulfur, a sizable amount of coal, and node purity are some major issues with the grass fields. But if we take a look at the location for new nodes being added, just to the right of the spawn, we have 3 quartz nodes and 3 sulfur nodes, and I'll explain why this is important in just a second. We can also see from the maps that Snut provided, there's almost no node removal or decrease in purity in the grass fields. Now that can't be said for the Northern Forest, which is seeing an outrageous amount of nerfs. Let's jump back to the sulfur and quartz. If you're anything like me, you love having blade runners. They make you move really fast and save you time moving around the map, which is huge, especially in the early game. If you have to go collect biomaterial for the biomass to fuel your power, or you want to explore to get new resources, having blade runners is huge in saving time. So the first chance I get to leave my starter machines and go get just at least a small amount of quartz to spec into the blade runner tech, you know I'm going to do it. If we were playing on this map, when you go get quartz, you can also grab sulfur, and that's important to spec into the sulfur tree. Now, a lot of people spec in for the weapons, which is good, but I think more importantly, you can unlock compacted coal as soon as you have made modular frames, and it goes the same for blade runners, because blade runners need rotors and you get them about the same time. Unlocking compacted coal is huge if you have the sulfur and coal available. Compacted coal is over 2 times better than just plain coal when used in a coal generator for power. And you might be able to see where I'm going with this. With 9 coal nodes being added and 4 sulfur nodes being added down south, you can make a very large power plant very early. And once you hit phase 2, you can unlock Mark II miners really quickly, which would double whatever power you initially want to make. Just using 3 sulfur and 3 coal nodes and 1 to 2 shards for overclocking, you'd be able to easily hit 2500 megawatts or more at your first power plant. That might not sound like a ton, but I was able to get to phase 4 and start my aluminum production to get the hover pack with less than 3500 megawatts. But power is not the only reason that I think the grasslands might actually be the best starting location now. You also get 2 more Caterium nodes, and Caterium is used a lot in alternate recipes that are really good. So if you do happen to have a lot of it, it may actually save you time. On top of the quick progression that you will get with having quartz, sulfur, and Caterium all close by, along with the massive amount of power you'll be able to make, you actually get a great mid-game benefit. When you start getting into fuel power, you can take the compacted coal and add oil from the same area and make turbo fuel, an even better power source. If you do this, your starting power actually helps you build a future power plant faster. You're just repurposing to make something better. On top of all the new additions that we're getting in 1.0 to the southern region, we do have to take into account all of what we already have, and a big part of the appeal for the grasslands is the fact that it is actually pretty flat for the majority of the area, which lends itself to being easier to build in versus an area like the Northern Forest, which is right on the cliffside and has a canyon and tons of tree foliage that you have to remove, and there's not really much flat ground. Now, I will say both the Northern Forest and the grasslands have a great advantage of having a lot of foliage that you can just pick up off the ground. So getting biofuel early game is really not difficult at all and doesn't really take a whole lot of time, which is always nice. The other 2 spawn points that we have in the game currently have definitely less than these 2. And I do think your starting zone doesn't really apply to things that you'll have to do in like phase 4, because by that point you kind of have to leave any starting zone to go get bauxite for aluminum or uranium, any of the gases. There's a lot you have to expand out for anyways, and the Greenlands is definitely further away from some of those things, but that's part of Satisfactory and the game design to push you to expand. Now let's look back on our list of issues that this spawn point has prior to 1.0. Quick access to quartz, sulfur, and a sizable amount of coal, and then on top of that, we had the node purity. The quartz, sulfur, and a butt ton of coal has all been solved. There's plenty of that really close. The only issue that was not directly buffed was node purity, but honestly, I think that there really are plenty of nodes within the vicinity for you to get to phase 4. And again, like I just stated, by the time you hit phase 4, a lot of the time you have to build a decent amount of infrastructure or logistics anyway, so I don't think it's too big of a deal. Now that might be a deal breaker to not have 70 pure nodes at your disposal right away, but there are definitely pure nodes in and around the area. Now, remember, all of this is subject to change because we may or may not get more information regarding 1.0 changes before September 10th, and that could change how we view this spawn point, or at least how I view this spawn point. If you guys think differently, if you still think maybe Northern Forest or a different location will be better, feel free to let me know down in the comments. But I do think that this is probably the most well-rounded spawn point that we could have. With 1.0 coming in September, I am definitely going to be starting a new save for 1.0 so we can experience whatever storyline that they are adding, and we can finally get the full experience of Satisfactory after all these years. And it still is kind of crazy for me to think that after all these years and the southern part of the map just being so subpar in node quality and all this other stuff, that it might end up being the best starting location. Just wild. But I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you found anything useful in this video and you are interested in seeing more informative content or just some cool builds, because we do that around here, feel free to like and subscribe. And again, let me know down in the comments any feedback or any other maybe video topics you would like to see me cover. But I think that's gonna do it for me, and I will see all of you guys in the next video. Peace.
I'm slick with words, tongue sharp, you left in thirds. You pitching verbs, I knock it out, I'm flipping birds. While smoking herbs, I'm blocking out what often hurts. I'm moving herds, it's me, my family, money merge. We crave the day that we can finally start to splurge. Hit the stove like fuck it, leave with kicks by Verge. And celebrate cause we ain't start back in the burbs. I've been a man who takes the issue, never chirps. Cause life can be a bitch who tempts you with some curves. Leave a couple stitches way below the surf. Make you question everything and what it's worth. I double back and redefine what I deserve. Cause if not, I retreat.